Discussing the subject matter of funding and finance in the legal sector is an interesting one because on one hand, the law practice, like every other business venture, requires appropriate funding. But on the other hand, it's obvious that the legal practice has specific rules and regulations that are peculiar to the profession. In the coming minutes, we would be listening to lawyers with different levels of experience talk about how they kick-started their legal practice, their challenges with funding, and how exactly they pulled through. Let's listen.
Good morning, Mrs. Afesojaye. We are glad to have you here for this interview. Thank you for responding to our call or to SLB's call, Street Law Business Call. The essence of this interview is for us to have a conversation with you, being a law firm founder, right? To know what it has been running your law firm. You know, at the point of starting, how did you jumpstart? Did you have access to capital to fund your law firm practice, or did you have to leverage personal finance, or were you able to get some sort of soft loan from banks, or was it an issue of getting some sort of crowdfunding from family, friends, and or we just want to have this conversation just for you to share your experience with us on what it has been running your law firm in terms of financing, in terms of funding, and what limitations have you experienced? What challenges, have you been able to balance the use of your personal finance in funding your law firm and then funding your other aspects of your life?
Um, I'm going to try not to speak too much about. Okay, maybe I'll share a bit of my own personal experience, and then also things that helped or things that have helped, because as you continue to evolve, you find that you may need to drop some things and pick up new methods. So some things that have helped. So personal finance constraints were real for me because, like I said to you earlier, I had just resigned. And the point of the work, something they tell you when you are going to
Sorry, please,
resign.
I would like you to raise your voice higher so that we
Going
can
to resign.
hear.
Something they will tell you when you want to resign is that you should have saved some money, at least 6 months of your salary to sustain you. So I did that, and then I then had to take out of that savings for sustenance. You get, and for me, it was particularly a unique journey because I wasn't single, right? If I were, right, let me say, if I was at a stage where it was just me, but I had a point. I was at a stage where I had other obligations to other people. I had dependents.
Absolutely.
So, the personal finance was a struggle between my own personal needs, between um, things I wanted for the business, and then also for my dependents. So if it was a distribution of what was available. It was a careful distribution of what was available. In fact, I recall, I had to make some spending cuts in my house. So we had to say, we will no longer buy this, we will no longer buy this, we will no longer, we sat down. It was a deliberate thing that until we cross past this phase, certain things are no longer available. All these movies and popcorn, all those things that you would do for entertainment, for relaxation, it was off. It was off. Um, uh, Things that you do, maybe you feel, oh, it's time to get a new pair of shoes, or you see shoes. I love shoes. I can't walk past the shoe store. I must enter. You see, that period, I learned to become content. So it wasn't even an option. So did it tell on personal finance? Yes, it did. Yes, it takes a toll on personal finance. Yes, there are limitations that come as a result of not having enough access to funds. So if I had access to funds, would I have done more? I don't think that I have missed. The answer is yes, because our business is one that is largely based on impression. So there are times that one person, maybe you are trying to get a particular. In fact, I remember an experience. It was a foreign company. and we're trying to get this work. So they had asked us, oh, send in your profile, we'll interview your people, and we'll get to meet with you and you. Oh, sorry, I'm not speaking loud. We'll interview your people, and we'll get to meet with you and your people and all of that. Now, because it was a particular area of expertise, if I had enough access to funds, I could have said, look, we have this thing coming. Let's begin to hire people who have this skill towards this thing. Or let me take training.
So you needed funding also to hire talents.
Yes, absolutely. Or we'll say, okay, let's begin to or I could say, okay, I'll take some courses, but I had to sit down and read some of these things on my own. I had to sit down and read some of these things on my own. I had to thank God for good friends. I had to network, call people.
And did you eventually get the brief?
No. No.
Can you imagine? So what was the reason? Was it also, did it also have to do with not having enough talent? What was the reason why you didn't get the brief?
Okay, so I recall sending a mail to the company saying, look, give us feedback why you think we are not the right fit for this. And ultimately it was like, oh, we don't think your staff strength is, you guys, you're kind of few. We don't think you
have enough talent capacity to.
Yes, we don't think I support the work. So that was it.
Wow.
And it was for me, it was a good experience because that was the first time I was actually trying to bid for something, and trying to bid for work. So it was a good experience, and it also will tell you what other people are looking out for. And so that, look, in the next phase, this is what you should do. But if we had more money, we would have gotten the right guys, and and we'd have got more opportunity. You get so. But so that's an example. In fact, that's just one of the many examples of opportunities lost because of lack of funding. Law practice is largely based on perception. You need funding to be able to put yourself in the way you want to be perceived. You need funding to be able to get the opportunity. So let's even say little things like a website. If you are just starting up, you are talking to a developer, they want to host it, they're going to give you a bill for that. And if what you have, like me, is my piggy bank, if what you have is and that piggy bank, the money is not for you. There are some funds that is your own. Anything you do with it is between you. You don't answer to anybody. But there are some funds, it's not for you. It may be your custody, but all your dependents will ask you what you did. So it was like that. So even to you are talking to a website developer, they are giving you bills for this, they are giving you bills for that. And these are things that don't immediately begin to pay off. You did a website today. It doesn't mean somebody will call you tomorrow.
Exactly.
Your website, so these are things that, in fact, before you might get a referral from the website, you may be talking like 2-3 years. So these are things that don't immediately begin to pay off. But these are bills you need to pick up, bills you need to pay. So I think that's probably just what makes it again a very peculiar situation. You get, because unlike most SMEs that you mentioned, some of them have ideas, some of them have, but from the kickoff, you can begin to see if it's a product, you already have a warehouse full of goods. If it's a service, you're already trying to push your service out there. You see marketing, if you see marketing budget of most companies is this high. Until recently, with modern day happenings, law firms did not have marketing budgets. And because even when you look at the rules, almost on the face of it, it's like no advertisement. So why would you be thinking of marketing budget? But these are things that you must invest in, and you need money to do those
things.
I will make you laugh. I once had a client who told me, Mike, I've rendered services to this man. We're talking on the phone, and he would call you for, and he told me, he said, I spoke to my lawyer. I thought I was his lawyer. Do you understand? He said, I spoke to my lawyer is ow. But what it just told me was, see, this person's perception of you. Do you get? And sometimes I don't mean to sound I don't mean to sound vain or petty. Sometimes it can be as little as the kind of car you drive. I remember somebody once went for a meeting and the person escorted us out. And the other guy said, he wants to see the car we came in, to see if the money we called in there, we are justified. Yes. I'm telling you, those are the kind of opportunities that you will lose for lack of funding.
Yes.
I know it sounds, I know that.
No, it doesn't sound vain, because even beyond even with lawyers, even in the business world, it operates. And that's why you see some people, when they are going for meetings, depending on the kind of meetings they are going for, they go to car hire services to hire, good cars or borrow their friends' cars because perception is everything.
Everything. And part of the things you invest in as a lawyer or as a law firm, as a law business, as a legal services provider is people's perception of you.
Yeah.
Perception. People, I've learned also, he also dovetails into what you charge ultimately. Because I've seen cases before where you find that maybe a firm will charge X for a service, the same service, another person will charge you times 10. So it varies according to the length of the counsel's foot.
Absolutely.
And it's not as if the person is going to do anything different. But you'll be surprised that you have some clients who will happily pay the person charging them 10 times more. Because they just believe somewhere that okay.
Yes.
Never go this way than go this way. So to make money, you need to spend money. It's a general. So it's the same thing with law. To make money as a lawyer, you must spend money. You must spend money on your resources. You must spend money on your people's perception of you. You must spend money on marketing, if I may say so. You must spend money on your personal development. You want to attend conferences. You want to be able to see some people when you get there. Busola, if tomorrow you put a price tag on business law conference, people will still pay to come because it provides them an opportunity to see people of a particular thing. You want to network, all of that is money. And these are not things that ultimately, I remember I was speaking with a senior lawyer once, and she was sharing with me, she said, that if you want to go find this thing, sit down and begin to save towards some of these international programs.
Exactly.
Make it a project for you. But how do I do that when I still have some bills to pay on the side, when I still have my own family issues to sort out? All of that requires funding. So yes, there are more funding will certainly provide us with more opportunities.
Yeah, and the beauty of all of this is that at the end of the day, if we get this money, the number one thing is going to change for us is the confidence, because that confidence we need it. It's very, very important, particularly in our Nigerian legal services market. That confidence is important because if you're not thinking that, I'm in need of cash, or I need working capital, or I need to pay this bill, or when you know that, I have some amount of money, I have working capital in place, then you can tell any client who is not ready who can afford you to walk away, right? You have that confidence, and then you have I sent an invoice once to a client, and the client came back. The client was referred, through a friend. We have a mutual friend who referred, the client to me, and I sent an invoice, for that service, and the client came back to say, "Oh, my friend thinks that you are highly expensive. Like this service can cost, way lower. In fact, he said it can cost maybe divided by 3 of the amount I charged." And I told him, I had to justify, the invoice, and because of the quality of work I had done in the past, so he knew that, yes, I need Busola to handle this. But what gave me that confidence? The confidence came from the fact that, I can ask you to walk away. So it's not a do or die affair. And that's because I know that, I'm not desperate, in need of money. But imagine that I was desperately in need of money at that particular point in time. I would have just, taken it. I would take it, So I mean, I think that like from what you said, it is important that we have access to capital, at least working capital for us to sustain the business, while we are growing, pending when we are able to expand or pending when we are able to get the big briefs that would help us to scale. So I think yes, you've been able to do. You've been able to answer this question, in the way we anticipated, because of course we know that there would have been some sort of challenges that you have encountered. But so I would like to ask that, from all of this that you have said, do you think that calling on the NBA, to begin to look for possible ways, and I would like you to answer this in 1 minute, to look for possible ways of getting some sort of funding for lawyers, either maybe through the MBA. I mean, we pay practicing fee every year. Can they come up with some funds, development funds from that practicing fee, such that you can give some sort of soft loans to lawyers and they can pay back, to jumpstart their businesses? Or can, the CBN in partnership with BOI come up with a development fund for the legal services market, or for the professional services providers, lawyers, accountants, doctors, engineers, to boost this particular sector of the economy? Because, looking at the legal services market in UK, it's worth billions. But we can't put a value to the Nigerian legal services market because nobody knows. There's a lot of secrecy going on and all of that. And what's not even got that's some sort of digression. But my point is, can the CBN and BOI, do you think, the CBN and BOI coming together to set up a development fund, do you think it would help? Or do you think it's a nice idea? What do you think about it? What do you think about it?
Okay. Um, Providing funding for lawyers certainly is a good idea. And we have seen from what has happened to other SMEs that it's possible to come up with tailor-made packages for a particular industry or for a particular group of people that would suit their own peculiar needs. So we have seen that that is possible. For the NBA, more than coming up with funding for people, because like I said, even when you get funding, you don't immediately begin to get your ROI the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
You don't immediately begin to get it like the day following. Sometimes you may not even be able to get it in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because particularly because the legal services market now is becoming increasingly competitive. The mantra now is attack from the flanks. Begin to look at areas nobody is doing anything and begin to go into those areas, so that by the time people wake up and they're coming there, you've already grown deep roots in the ground in those areas. So the point I'm just trying to make is, even if somebody were to advance a loan to a lawyer tomorrow, all of that, if when you have legitimate struggles of survival, the chances that you divert that loan to personal needs or personal is really, really, really high. So I'm saying, while that is a good idea, we must even think beyond that. We must begin to encourage our people to band together and galvanize. For the NBA, more than coming up with funding for people, because like I said, even when you get funding, you don't immediately begin to get your ROI the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
You don't immediately begin to get it like the day following. Sometimes you may not even be able to get it in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because particularly because the legal services market now is becoming increasingly competitive. The mantra now is attack from the flanks. Begin to look at areas nobody is doing anything and begin to go into those areas, so that by the time people wake up and they're coming there, you've already grown deep roots in the ground in those areas. So the point I'm just trying to make is, even if somebody were to advance a loan to a lawyer tomorrow, all of that, if when you have legitimate struggles of survival, the chances that you divert that loan to personal needs or personal is really, really, really high. So I'm saying, while that is a good idea, we must even think beyond that. We must begin to encourage our people to band together and galvanize. Like you mentioned something about corporations and all. The truth is, a single tree does not and cannot make a forest. I
Absolutely.
have had the privilege to work with some firms in the US, and one particular one, not some, one firm in the US, and they've been around for over 100 years. And I really was one of their partners, one of their business development. Now, this guy is a business development person. He's not a lawyer, but he's into business development for the firm. That's all he does. He is not a lawyer. But what you find with these people is they are not trying to do things as individuals.
Coming
Rather
together.
they're coming together. That's corporation. That's the idea behind a
Absolutely.
corporation. We
Absolutely.
can do more. Even though, see, if you give one man funding, sometimes there's a limit to even how far he can go.
And I think that, for us, like we are putting out there that it's a conversation starter. This is a conversation starter. There are a lot of dynamics to it. This financing thing, a lot of dynamics. There are a lot of ways we'll look at it. There are a lot of even maybe some sort of restructuring of even our law firm business model here in Nigeria that we need to begin to think of, right? But let's even
Absolutely,
start
yes.
this conversation. Let's see what can come out of it. And then they'll begin to look at the other areas. There's a lot of work to be done. There's, no doubt, there's a lot of work to be done. But let's even start, the conversation.
Let's start from
And
somewhere.
then let's start from somewhere, and then we can, progress as we can progress as we move along. So I think it's been an interesting time having this conversation with you. Thank you so much. I totally love, the thoughts you shared, your experiences, and how you've been able to navigate through all the stormy waters, and here you had today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with you, and I hope that we would get to have more opportunities like this in future. And I want to say I wish you the very best in your endeavors, and we pray that the way practice will scale and become a global law firm.